Breaking news report, Freedom Hall, Juba, October 3, 2025, from our inside sources at Freedom Hall, Juba. 10:05 a.m., Juba time. Courtroom proceedings take an unexpected turn as Dr. Machar, the suspended first vice president of South Sudan, is given the microphone to directly address the judges. 10:12 a.m. Eyewitnesses report that Machar began his remarks in a calm but firm tone, outlining his position on the charges against him and condemning what he described as a politically motivated trial. 10:20 a.m. The courtroom falls silent as Machar passionately defends his legacy and role in the peace process, urging the judges to act in accordance with the Constitution, not political pressure. 10:32 a.m. Sources say several lawyers on the defense bench nodded in agreement during his speech, while some prosecution officials appeared visibly uncomfortable. 10:45 a.m. This marks a historic moment, as it is the first time Machar has spoken publicly inside the courtroom since the trial began. Juba court drama. Dr. Machar speaks on day 6 of high-profile trial. The courtroom inside Freedom Hall witnessed a historic moment today as Dr. Machar, the suspended first vice president of South Sudan, personally addressed the judges during the 6th day of his trial alongside 7 senior SPLAIO members. The trial, which has gripped the nation and drawn international scrutiny, continued this morning with unexpected intensity when Dr. Machar was handed the microphone to respond to charges of treason and conspiracy. Calm but firm response. Speaking in measured tones, Machar rejected the accusations leveled against him and the 7 co-accused, insisting that the case is politically motivated. The judges must act according to the constitution of this country, Machar told the bench, not under pressure or demands from the government. This will all come to an end, and the truth will still stand. Courtroom witnesses reported that Machar appeared calm, confident, and unshaken as he delivered his statement. Defense lawyers reportedly nodded in agreement, while members of the prosecution appeared unsettled. A turning point in the trial. This is the first time Machar has spoken publicly inside the courtroom since the proceedings began. Analysts describe his intervention as a turning point, underscoring the political weight of the trial and the growing tension between the judiciary and executive pressure. The charges stem from allegations that Machar and his allies attempted to undermine the state. However, supporters argue the case is a strategy to silence political opponents and weaken the SPLM/AIO's influence in national politics. National and international reactions. Observers outside Freedom Hall described the moment as historic, with many noting that Machar's voice resonated beyond the courtroom as a message to South Sudan citizens. Diplomatic sources in Juba suggest the international community will closely monitor how the judiciary handles the remainder of the trial, especially after Machar's direct appeal to constitutional justice. What next? The court adjourned shortly after Machar's statement, with judges expected to deliberate further before the next session. Audio recordings of Machar's speech are anticipated to circulate in the coming hours, potentially igniting strong public reactions both domestically and abroad. As the trial continues, the nation watches closely to see whether South Sudan's judiciary will uphold the law independently or bend under political weight. Profile: Dr. Benjamin Bolmel, the tycoon behind Machar's trial. Background: Dr. Benjamin Bolmel is one of South Sudan's most powerful businessmen and arguably the country's most politically connected tycoon. He rose to prominence during the war years as a financier closely tied to the SPLM elite, and in the post-independence era, he has consolidated a vast business empire stretching across banking, construction, aviation, and oil-related services. Bolmel has long been described as the money man of the SPLM establishment, using his wealth to influence politics while enjoying protection and privileges in return. His flagship company, Nile Petrolated Enterprises and construction firms, have won multi-million-dollar state contracts, often without competition. Links to power and the JC. Bolmel's business success is inseparable from his deep ties with the Jiang Council of Elders, JC, and top government officials. Analysts argue he is more than a businessman. He is a kingmaker who uses his resources to cement political alliances and silence rivals. His closeness to President Salva Kiir's inner circle has ensured that his businesses thrive even in the midst of South Sudan's economic collapse. In return, he is believed to finance political projects, security operations, and campaigns aligned with the government's interests. Role in Machar's trial. Recent reports indicate Bol Mel is a key figure behind the push for Dr. Riek Machar's arrest and prosecution. According to insiders, he allegedly pressed for Machar's removal from power to prevent him from challenging the economic order that benefits tycoons like him. His support for the trial is seen as a way to weaken the SPLMIO and safeguard monopolies in the oil sector, where opposition demands for transparency and reform could threaten his fortunes. His alignment with the JC makes Machar, who represents a competing political and ethnic bloc, a direct political threat to his interests. Criticism and controversy. Critics accuse Bol Mel of being part of a shadow state, where business and politics intertwine to protect the ruling elite at the expense of justice and national interest. Civil society groups say his influence over judicial and security organs undermines judicial independence. Opposition voices argue that the trial is less about law and more about elite power struggles, with Bol Mel using his wealth to tip the balance. Many South Sudanese see him as a symbol of corruption and elite capture, benefiting while ordinary citizens suffer under economic hardship. What this means for the trial. Bol Mel's alleged role highlights that the special court is not operating in isolation, but rather within a web of political and business power brokers. If true, it raises the fear that Dr. Riek Machar's trial is predetermined, serving the interests of tycoons and politicians rather than the Constitution and justice, as one analyst put it. This trial is not just about Machar. It is about who really controls South Sudan, the law or the tycoons. South Sudan's suspended First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar courtesy, October 3, 2025 Juba. A special court in South Sudan set up to try suspended First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and 7 co-accused heard the lead investigator present statements from Dr. Machar and 3 other accused on Friday. Major General Basilio Thomas Wani, the lead investigator and police commissioner of Northern Bahr el Ghazal State, read the statements during a closed-door hearing. Media outlets covering the court proceedings were not permitted to record or take videos. Wani told the court that Dr. Machar was placed under house arrest on March 26, 2025, under case number 978, which was opened at the Northern Police Division in Juba. He said Machar was investigated on April 14, 2025, at 11 a.m. at his residence in High Amarat in Juba. In a statement read by Wani, the 4th accused, Dr. Riek Machar Tini, 73, rejected the committee established by the Minister of Justice to investigate him regarding the incident in Nasir, stating that the committee lacked jurisdiction and that he holds immunity as the first vice president. There is a mix-up that I would correct. First, I told them, yes, I did not recognize the committee because I had 2 reasons. I said one reason. Incidents of violation of the peace agreement are always investigated by CTSAM and not National Security Service. It is a structure. It is an international structure, Machar told the court on Friday. I told them clearly, I do not accept to be investigated by this committee. I only gave a statement because I was compelled, but I reserve my objections. Second, I said I am the first vice president. I have immunity. He stated that the complainant, alleged to be from the national security, should have also pursued a court case regarding the massacre that occurred in Lear County of Unity State over the past 2 years. South Sudanese are also there with their parties. They investigate such incidents like that of Nasir. But then this time, my complainer, which is said to be national security, I have not seen it in other incidences. There was a massacre in Lear. The committee was formed, and when I investigated it, although the report is now 2 years, the president has not received it. He has not given time to take it. Machar went on to recount his communications with President Salva Kiir, security chiefs, and commissioners over renewed fighting in Nasir in March. He said he tried to prevent clashes between the government, SPLM/AIO, and the White Army. The problem is not the people. They take up arms because they don't trust the government and feel they must protect themselves. We need to bring youth into training and national service so they do not continue fighting. In a statement read by Wani, Machar said they had evacuated 190 South Sudan People's Defense Forces, SSPDF, soldiers from Nasir following intense fighting with the White Army militia. The number of the soldiers were 190, and I think they are brought here to Juba. Remained only 2 soldiers, and 3 women and 14 children in Nasir. Because the party of Io is the one who controls the area, Machar said. According to Wani, Camilo Gatmichael, 47, said, I was taken to National Security Service detention centers near the River Nile. I took 2 days there. On the March 6, 2025, I was brought here to National Security Headquarters. From that time, nobody told me why I am arrested. The third accused, Mating Yak Reek, 45, identified in the records as a security officer, gave a brief statement acknowledging his detention but denied wrongdoing. His arrest and statement were logged in the case diary, though he insisted he had been held without proper explanation. I was not informed of any charges, the accused said, adding that he awaited clarification from the authorities. The fourth accused, Dominic Gatgok-Reek, 27, whose statement was also read in court, expressed confusion over his arrest and said he had cooperated fully with investigators. I was taken without clear reason and have remained in custody since, he stated. I hope the court will clarify why I am here. During the session, Dr. Sabri Wani Ladu, a member of the prosecution team, presented 4 documents, including an authorization letter to initiate the trial and a ministerial order establishing the Investigation and Prosecution Committee. Others included an arrest sanction for Dr. Machar issued by the head of the executive and a resolution by the National Transitional Legislative Assembly waiving the immunity of lawmaker Gatwech Lampuch. The prosecution insists that authorization be marked as Prosecution Document Number 1 for the following reasons. Number 1. The crime committed is related to public interest whereby any person who preserves the national security has the right to initiate the case according to Section 34 of the Court of Criminal Procedure Act and also Section 35 of the same act, Wani said. Machar's lead defense counsel, Dr. Jerry Raimondo Legg, objected to the prosecution documents, citing a lack of jurisdiction by the Ministry of Justice. Our objection is just very short. This document was issued from unauthorized jurisdiction. We suppose to be the citizen because the incident of Nasir is just a mere violation of cessation of hostilities and ceasefire. And therefore, all these are the terms and articles of the revitalized agreement, which was signed on the 12th of September, 2018. Number 2. The members who were investigating are now here in the prosecution team, prosecuting, which is inconsistent with procedural fairness. The defense also challenged the prosecution document containing the executive sanction ordering Machar's arrest. They argued the order was unconstitutional, stating the president had no authority to issue arrest orders directly, and that the proper method to authorize proceedings against a first vice president is through impeachment. The prosecution countered that Article 44 of the Code of Criminal Procedure Act empowers the Minister of Justice to form such committees, and noted that the court had already affirmed its jurisdiction in an earlier ruling. The prosecution also dismissed the objection on Machar's immunity, noting that the case concerns the first vice president, not the president. It stated that the court had already ruled Machar has no immunity in this matter, and that under Section 44 of the Code of Criminal Procedure Act, the head of the executive has powers to issue such a sanction under Chapters 3 and 4 of the Penal Code. Presiding Judge James Alaladang ruled by accepting the 4 prosecution documents submitted by the prosecution team. The court decided and endorsed prosecution document 1, 2, 3, and 4. The court is going to adjourn until the coming Monday at the same time. The presiding judge noted that the defense will have the opportunity to cross-examine and clarify inconsistencies in the recorded statements at a later stage. The special investigator concluded Friday's session by affirming that all 4 statements had been formally entered into the record. The court adjourned the session to Monday, October 6, 2025, after hearing statements from the remaining 4 accused, including Machar. The 8 accused face charges including treason, crimes against humanity, mass murder, terrorism, and destruction of property. The case relates to March 2025 attacks on an army base in Nasir County that killed a general and dozens of soldiers. The government has alleged the assaults were carried out by Machar's Sudan People's Liberation Movement /Army in Opposition, SPLM/AJO, and an allied militia known as the White Army. After Friday's, October 3rd, closed-door session, presiding Judge James Alaladang adjourned the special court until Monday, October 6, 2025, when proceedings will continue with cross-examinations and more testimony from the accused. He said this trial would eventually come to an end and that the truth will still stand. His tone was described as defiant yet measured, emphasizing his immunity as first vice president and his role as a signatory of the peace agreement.
Is this your statement?
My Lord, I want to thank the investigator. Although he has somewhere there are mixture that I would correct. First, I told them, yes, I did not recognize the committee because I had two reasons. He had said one reason. Incidents of violation of the peace agreement are always investigated by citizens. It is a structure that it is an international structure. South Sudanese are also there with their parties. They investigate such incidents like that of Nasser. So, but then this time there is a complainant which is said to be national security. I have not seen it in other incidences. In Lair, there was massacre. Then a committee was formed and went and investigated it. Although the report is now 2 years, the president has not received it. He has not given time to take it. There are other incidences where, and by the way, that of Lair is investigated by CDSAM. And the CDSAM sends its reports to RJMAC, and from RJMAC to IGAD. And if there is a case, it awaits the hybrid court. In this case of Nasser, it's treated differently. You mentioned objection.
I think you stop there. You will explain them when you are given your chance in the examination. Thank you. What we wanted is to see whether this statement is what you give. And if there are observations, then you have put them already. We have recorded them.
Okay. I have another point. The reason I told them that I didn't accept the committee, he said correctly that of the CDSM should do the investigation. Second, I said I am first vice president. I have immunity.
Court. Honorable Court. The accused has his
He has not written this.
Please.
Yes.
Finish. Let him finish.
Then I told
with the
him,
new statement.
I told the committee, I'm the first vice president, I have immunity. So, in the end I told them, I will give you a statement, but I don't accept to be investigated by you. And that's why the statement is long, detailed, although there's mix-up somewhere. When the time comes, I'll correct that. Thank you.
Thank you.